Okay, now again, all the Evo 10 people, wave your hands in the air, who heard our awesome Oprah keynote last year with at Hyde Park Mom and at Johnny Sink. I need some more 10s. Come on, who was here? All right. So everywhere we've gone this year, people have still been talking about their keynotes. We asked them to come back because it was kind of a small year at the Oprah Show. They just wound things down and have new adventures that they're beginning, and we wanted to hear how they've changed and what they've implemented this year with social media and what's next for them, the show, and all of the cool stuff they've learned. So having said that, we welcome back Jon Sinclair and Andrea Wishom, and we're excited to have them back.
Oh, her eyes make the stars look like they're not shining. Her hair falls perfectly without her trying. She's so beautiful, and I tell her every day.
Andrea picked the walk-up music. I just want to go on record.
I love that song.
So, like Rachel said, we were here last year. We, now looking back on it, because I pulled up the presentation, I think we were slightly clueless, but we were optimistically and confidently clueless at the time. And so it's been a fun year. I think we should start off by saying that, A, we learned a ton from this room last year. It was very eye-opening. I had this sleepy vision of a apron-clad, pot roast-wielding mom of soccer minivan, vintage, sitting down cozily at 4 p.m. in the quiet of her home to watch the Oprah Show every day. And then when no one raised their hand that they watch it when it's on anymore, we were a little like, well, it's a new day, America. So we took a lot of that back to the ranch, and we're going to talk about how we kind of took last year, what we learned from you guys and our own team back there, and what we researched and what we kind of came up with, and how we sort of went through the last year. So we thought of, for those of you who weren't here at Rockin' Evo 10, we thought we'd talk about who we are. And you?
So I was a senior supervising producer for the Oprah Show, and now that that's over, sad face, I'm going to be, Harpo Studios is up and running, and we are a development company, and we are rocking and rolling, and I'm going to be one of the executive vice presidents of Harpo, and I'm also going to be the executive producer for the next big show that Oprah will be in, called Oprah's Next Chapter, and that will premiere in the fall on OWN. Pretty cool, yeah.
You left off reality star.
Yeah, see, John added that little line.
Who here watches season 25 Oprah Behind?
My friends. Laura, the people I know watch it. My
No,
friends
it's bigger than that. Sorry.
I know. No, it was Behind the Scenes was our docuseries that airs on OWN on Sunday nights, and I was one of the people who was caught on camera. How about that?
Yeah, well, we'll have more to talk about on that. Like Andrea said, after the end of the Oprah Winfrey Show, Harpo still exists. Oprah's not disappearing and retiring. We are actually this week is the first official week of sort of the retooled new Harpo, and we'll talk a little bit about what we're doing, but we're still very much in the production business. Oprah has a network. There's lots actually on our plate, and probably mathematically, we're going to produce more hours of television in the next year than we have in previous years, so we'll talk about that. Last year I was just a VP, now I add the word E in front of it, like EVP of Harpo Studios and Development and Creative Works, and work on season 25, work on Masterclass, and other fun stuff like that. So, last year, we, again, confidently told you guys that Oprah was on Twitter and the world changed. This was her first tweet, probably going on 2 years ago now. Hi, Twitterers. Thanks for a warm welcome, feeling very 21st century. And that was really because I think you booked Ev or Biv or DeVoe, one of them on the show.
Yes.
And
yep.
There she was. So since then, now she has about 6.5 million followers. The Facebook page probably has about the same amount of people. And we thought, well, that's important. So it is a new day. And so new, as a matter of fact. This is now just a recent snapshot of Oprah's Twitter stream. she knows how to do it now, and she does it a lot. Before it was not, I wouldn't say produced, it might have been encouraged. We'd be like, hey, maybe we should talk about this or that, and there was a lot of hands in the pot, and it was always Oprah controlled it, and I don't think she had embraced it in the early days in the way that clearly now something switched in her brain, and she realized she's a communicator. She loves that relationship with people, and she saw, oh my gosh, this is direct.
Yes, I think that was really the light bulb for her. Obviously there were a few of us who were on Twitter well before her and were a little more familiar with it, and were encouraging, like Jon said, but I think once she started playing around with it, something really clicked, and she realized what the direct connection, it's exactly what she loves, and she took off with it. I mean, she actually is having the time of her life with it. And, that's not something any of us really saw coming, expected, but really, really, it has changed a lot of things for us because, again, she's the driving force. And, for her to naturally, organically be excited about something, it, changes everything within Harpo. And this was one of those examples.
Like on May 14th, if you can read, I know it's really small, sorry, but she says, Gloria, the pedicurist, just said, so you really Twitter? That's really you? And then Oprah types, duh, yeah, Gloria. I mean, that's the perfect use of 140 characters from Oprah Winfrey herself. And then the other side is responses, because then she would actually put questions out, and she would respond and interact, and it was fun for us to see her just take on not just broadcasting out, but creating the dialogue back and forth, which is what we had all hoped, that we would use that massive influence and following that she had. So, that's, again, just a sampler. So we've come quite a long way in the last 18 to 24 months. In fact...
Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. I'm in the kitchen making risotto for the first time, using Christina Ferrari's new cookbook. Risotto with crab meat. That's what I'm doing on a Saturday night. Tomorrow night, Sunday night, at this very time, I will be watching Behind the Scenes on OWN, and hope you'll join me. It's behind the scenes, everything that went on, putting that trip to Australia together. Unbelievable. We're having a tweet-a-thon. Hope you'll join me on OWN, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. Bye.
So we've come far from hey Twitterers. Welcome to the 21st century. Thanks to the iPod 2, Oprah took it upon herself to start shooting in her house.
Something we were hoping she would do, had asked her to do actually before. And this is the way it works. It's when one woman, Oprah Winfrey, is running a company and the driving force, it's got to happen for her, and this is what's worked for her for the show for years. It's got to work organically, and it's got to be real. So she discovered it, she figured it out, she actually did that on her own, and she's having a great time with it. And
it was really off to the races once we saw that she was interested in doing stuff like that, and her love of the iPad, which is unrivaled by I think anybody who's ever had an iPad. She loves her so much.
She cried about it.
We knew things were going to start to happen for real. So, but first we had this massive Megillah of how do you actually sunset the Oprah Winfrey Show that's been on air for 25 years, and I mean for those of us at Harpo, it's really been the heartbeat of our day, what we do, what's taping, what's airing, who's working on what. So this became a seismic sort of challenge to not only A, for Andrea and the teams and everybody to produce fantastic television, but B, in the wake of the talk last year, and you guys aren't watching at 4 o'clock, and you're not making pot roast, and you're not wearing the aprons, and you're not just sitting around eating bonbons waiting for the show to start, how do we bring those people back to the show? Because we knew, A, that the mission was Oprah wanted to say something important at the end. She really wanted to live up to what the legacy of the show was. There was a lot of thought into what those, last month of shows are going to be. How do you end this? So it became a challenge on the social media side and the connective side to rally all the people who maybe weren't making it their daily appointment anymore. They still respected and valued the show, but how do you bring them back? So we put a couple plans in place, and we actually have people back at the office who do a lot of this stuff, and we even got our good pal Jason Pollock here to help us kind of hone down on what a real strategy for ending the show would be. So this is a little...
This is my last broadcast for almost 2 decades. After all, we've been meeting like this in the evenings, and I'll miss that.
It's hard to say goodbye.
We kicked it all, didn't we?
I bid you a very heartfelt good night.
Sorry, we're closed.
With tears that never dry.
Ladies and gentlemen, I feel the same way about you.
My sweet love, you're beautiful. Good night, good night. The stars up above will be bright. Despite the love bound and broken from the start.
Thank you. Thank you.
My beautiful goodbye.
No pressure.
Yeah.
Pressure was on, no question.
Yeah, we knew we could strike an emotional chord, and we knew that it was very sad because a lot of the hardcore viewers, were feeling like this giant loss. But what I think was interesting was the executive producer, Sherry, her senior producer team, of which Andrea is a key member of, got to the point, wait, let me get to the next, there, got this idea in their heads that they were going to surprise Oprah.
Crazy idea. Yeah, it's like, how do you, we brainstormed, we thought about it, and Sherry was a leader in this idea, like, why don't we surprise her? She sort of has reinvented the surprise on the show over the years. We've done some really, really crazy, amazing surprises, and why don't we surprise her? She will know the place and the time, but other than that, she doesn't know the who. And the rest, that was it. That was our charge. The rest was up to us. And, I probably didn't sleep for 2 months. And it was, it got really crazy. How do you keep a surprise from Oprah Winfrey? And we're talking about big celebrity surprises. We're talking about her friends flying in town, people she calls every day, keeping secrets from her. And more than just surprising her by saying, hey, hi, congratulations, like, then what do you do with them? So the bar was set higher for me and for us at the show, higher than it had ever been, I would say. It was hard to walk around the building, actually. I would try and hide from her because, she knew what we were doing, but she didn't know what, and that was really a challenge, hard for her. And so I was like, as long as I didn't see her that much and have to sit and have a conversation with her, we were good. So it was definitely the biggest creative challenge for us. And for TV, I'm really, really proud of what we did. And she was completely surprised, and there were definitely some moments that, for me, I'll, never, ever forget. And I think for her too. And so, we can check that box, job well done, and really proud of that for the TV side.
So those of you who might not have caught them, but millions and quintillions of people did actually watch, it was 2 days of star-studded extravaganza shows from the United Center in Chicago. If you would have been there that night, this is what you would have seen a little bit of.
All new from Chicago's world-famous United Center. One of the best-kept secrets on the planet. Oprah has no idea. The greatest, grandest, most spectacular surprise ever with the help of some of the biggest stars on the planet.
Let's get this party started, Oprah! MJ's in the house!
Living legends, once-in-a-lifetime performances, the ultimate viewers, the ultimate tribute. Surprise after magnificent surprise.
Ready for the next surprise? Cue the audience!
The 2-day farewell event begins.
Was that not the coolest?
Monday.
So we understated it a little bit. Tried to play it low-key and see if
only
anybody...
the way we know how.
Yes. Hey, if you're going to go out, you might as well go out big. So anyway, but the night of the event, we came up with a couple of trickaroos here. And we actually had, we were updating the Facebook page throughout the evening. There were updated tweets throughout the evening of the taping. Now, they didn't tape and air on the same day, so they taped 1 week, but it's sort of a backhanded, interesting way to start marketing an event, because it's like, oh my gosh, you just missed the grandest party of all time, your jaws are gonna drop, can't wait till you see this. And it took on sort of a world of its own for people were tweeting inside from the 12,000 people who were there to people then retweeting outward and updating on the Facebook page, and you can see people started commenting, so people understood it was going on, and it sort of built this inherent anticipation for it, which was fantastic because, again, the goal was how do we bring all those people back for sort of these last culmination shows leading up until the very, very end. So we had a ton of fun with that. And, you know, just the facts, because we're at a conference, and I thought this slide looked cool. 7 Facebook posts, the 12,826,932 Facebook impressions. That's a lot. That's a lot. A lot of likes, lots of comments. Again, it kind of took on a life of its own. And for that moment of time in May, giant stuff just started to happen. And on the TV side, the shows were well produced and played well and got a great rating from the core people who watch television, but as you can see, it started to
it started to match it. I think I felt like the social media side matched the sort of TV viewer side, and I hadn't really seen that happen. I think I saw the communities, I would say, they were equal in their scope and scale and support and energy, and that was really, I think, kind of revolutionary for us. I mean, it's too bad it was the end of the show, but I think it was a really huge learning for us on that side. It was like, wow, that community can be just as excited and influential and in some ways more influential, I would say, than the people who were there, than the people, who were there.
Yeah, so we've, again, come a long way since Hey Twitterers, welcome to the 21st century. So then it came time for Oprah to do the last show, which, the United Center those tapings drew all the attention of the producers and the production side. So the final show was really Sherry, the executive producer, and Oprah hunkering down and figuring out what Oprah really wanted to say.
And none of us knew what that was, by the way.
Yeah,
it really was. I thought our United Center shows were the best kept secret, but that last hour, really, there were only about 2 people who knew, and it was Sherry and Oprah, and even us and the staff watched it for the first time when we taped it. So.
And on that final tape, that show was taped, and then I think it aired either the next day or the following day. It was
2 days later.
Pretty tight. But during that, Oprah trended worldwide for the entire day. The Facebook page gave more than 200,000 fans in the 24 hours. There were, a couple of posts that day, and it sort of took off. So it just became one of those events, which I think the trouble that we find as producers, it's how do you actually generate an event that people want to watch in real time? Outside of sports, it's a little hard to say, this is a moment that collectively, everybody, those who watch TV at a point in time, not the DVRs and all that stuff, but how do you get everybody to come together at one time? And that's really the only way to pop a number anymore on television. And I think it took something as big as Sunsetting the Oprah Show to do it on this grand scale. But how are there other ways to create that sort of must-watch in real time sort of moment? And that's kind of the holy grail that we're chasing now. But this taught us a lot. And on the 25th, when the show was finally done, the last original Oprah show aired, Oprah sent out a tweet, thanks tweets, we did it. More than 14,000 times it was retweeted. And she put a letter up on Facebook and gave out this email address during the final show.
Yeah, I think one of the things that was important to her, again, her own evolution, we've shown you sort of from her first tweet to she's sending out videos from her iPad, she's on Twitter, she's responding to people, she's doing Twitter, live tweets. And she wanted to keep that going. This is, again, all driven by her. And it was her idea to give out an email address that she actually reads and would respond to. And so that's what she did on that final show. She gave out her email address. And this was her first letter responding to that. She actually reads them. And, we're excited about that.
So then, now what? So the show ends. Everybody's sad. Lots of tears. It's kind of an odd time at the company because, we were all hardwired to produce and to be and serve and be around this show. So it became here we go. And everybody we rebooted. And we've only been at this really a couple weeks since it was back in May 25th when the show ended. But I think the overwhelming mantra that we keep hearing is we are a production company. We have edit bays, we have producers who produce things for television. We have a network that Oprah has started, so we have commitments to give them programming and support them. So these are some of the projects that we know we're doing right now. And again, these are straight up hardcore, just production company shows. You want to talk about your next chapter?
A little bit. Okay, so for Oprah's next chapter, I think, it's going to be pretty much an extension of the Oprah show, but Oprah's not in a studio in a chair. So it's going to be a little bit of, what people have come to love and about her on behind the scenes, which is that sort of more intimate, everyday, she's going and doing, and you're seeing that whole process, not so produced. But she's going to be, going the places she wants to go, doing the things she wants to do, and telling the stories. Again, for us, it always comes down to story, and always will, frankly. Telling the story she wants to tell. And so that, in that way, things don't change at all for me. I'm still looking for the great stories to tell, just like I was on the Oprah show. Now I just don't have a studio per se, but sort of the world is the studio. So we're really excited about that. Literally, we just got back to work on Tuesday, so it's been a couple days and we're brainstorming ideas, so I welcome all your ideas. And that's where we are. This is her dream, really, to do this. And she's gonna connect even more this way because she won't be in the studio and people aren't necessarily having to come to her. So the sky's the limit for that. And obviously on the social media side, we are brainstorming ways to sort of keep that connect even more. And, I think the Sunday night tweetathons, I don't know we don't have a visual name for that.
Hashtag Oprah Live Tweet.
Yeah, Oprah Live Tweet. She's had so much fun with that. So that is sort of going to be a regular thing that we're going to try to keep going because it's been so much fun for her and really engaging for us. Try and produce both sides at the same time, really, and produce them in a quality way that makes you want to watch and be part of it. We just want everyone to be part of it.
So, in addition to next chapter, Rosie O'Donnell's going to have a show on OWN, and that's going to be taped in Chicago in Oprah's old studio. So that team is already getting in place, and more on that to come, but that's probably going to debut in the fall. Oprah's Encore series is we're going to take a large portion of the library of the Oprah Winfrey Show and look at that differently, and Oprah's going to repackage a lot of that and do new interviews about it and new content with it and wants to represent that, so exciting news to come on that. Masterclass is going to continue. We also do the Dr. Oz show and the Nate Berkus show. So as you can see, there's quite a bit on the plate. But in honor of the EVO conference, we're also going to continue to evolve. And mainly what we've learned in the last year and how to bring the Oprah show to a close and sunset it, we're trying to apply that as well to these other productions. We're not just so naive to say you create a show, you promote it, and people just watch it in droves. So we're looking at that sort of next generation way to get excitement around the projects we're doing. And one of them was, and Jason helped us with this because we all kind of scratched our heads and looked at it, is combining sort of all of our streams, the shows that we do, the Twitter followings that we have, the Facebook page, Oprah.com, all the ways that we're in the world, kind of speaking with one voice and directing people who are open to the kind of content that we're supplying into where they can get that. So we're doing that. We've used our sort of celeb friends and other sort of ambassadors of the brand to engage on big events. We did a lot of that at the United Center shows, and we can talk too about when the live tweets and who kind of got re-energized about that. We reworked the Facebook page to not just be the Oprah show, but to be Oprah the person, because she's really bigger than one show now. It's a network and many, many shows. And we're trying to get, through that interaction and those conversations, a better understanding of what stories, what content, what programs, what the audience wants, because clearly the audience has changed. It's not the old pot roast wielding, apron wearing, minivan driving soccer momish thing. So we're exploring what that is and what the next content needs to be. And the Sunday night tweetathon, we really organically learned a lot. So we want to talk a little bit about that because we kind of fell into that and had a lot of fun with that. So
hi, on the treadmill, 4.0, level 9, hate it, but getting the workout in. So I'll be ready for the tweetathon tonight. We're behind the scenes on OWN, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. If you haven't found OWN, go to your menu guide and see tonight. We're behind the scenes, 7 Central, followed by Masterclass. See you then. Bye. Happy Sunday.
I mean, that was her, that's really, there's nobody else there. She's doing it. She's setting it up. I mean, that is where we are. And again, how far we've come with her. And, we're riding the wave because it's really, really exciting.
See, I did promos for a good 10 years at the Oprah Winfrey Show. That's about the best damn promo you can ever have right there. Because there's no razzle-dazzle. That's just straight up hard sell. And we love that. And here's another example.
Hi, everybody. Hope you're having a happy Sunday. So it's only 3 hours to our tweet-a-thon and the beginning of Season 25, behind the scenes on OWN. Now, I'm here with one of the biggest supporters and fans of Season 25, who's seen practically every show, who's going to give us a rousing review, I hope. Stedman, come say hello to the Tweeple.
Hello, people. I just love
It's
behind
Tweeple.
the scenes. Tweeple?
It's Tweeple.
Yeah. Well, Tweeple, I love behind the scenes. It's one of them. So, I'm going to be watching it tonight.
Tonight,
No question.
7 Central, 8 Eastern, and if you're in California like we are on DirecTV, then it's 5 o'clock, which is really soon. So thanks, everybody. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
It's really Ozzie and Harriet. And the thing was, nobody wrote this. This just happened. So again,
We don't even know when they're coming. We're just sort of like, what'd she do?
what did she tweet? So we now monitor the feed closer.
We monitor, yeah.
So the idea was season 25 was cruising along Sunday nights on OWN, and then we had to go into rerun for a couple of weeks, and then we wanted to relaunch. We were like, what are we going to do? And we were going to relaunch with behind the scenes of the big Australia shows, because the making of the Oprah show, if you shoot that, you can't, it takes time to edit the behind the scenes, so there's a lag. So on March 3rd, we did our first, they weren't called tweet-a-thons, they were Oprah Live tweet events, but whatever. So the first night we did it, and I think we were all at Eric Logan's house.
Yep.
This is how sophisticated we are.
Yes.
We were in the basement of Eric Logan's house. Eric Logan and Sherry are the presidents of our company. Oprah was in Santa Barbara, but because of that
FaceTime
on the iPad, we had an iPad on the coffee table. So we all had our laptops open, and we start tweeting, and she's FaceTiming, and she's tweeting, and we became a worldwide Twitter trending topic, which was kind of a thrill. We were all like sort of shocked and hitting refresh to see when that happens. We created a hashtag. I mean, we really did our homework and did it with purpose, but really it came down to Oprah was engaged, and she sat all the way through the season 25 episode and then into Masterclass and kept tweeting, answering questions. It was cool. It was fun. And we would suggest tweets for her to answer back because monitoring the feed that night got a little unwieldy.
It was insane. I'd never seen so many pages streaming in front of my face. It was really hard to keep up with.
The conversations, well, y'all are better at it than we are, but the conversations become completely disjointed, and then the hashtag's in there, the hashtag's not in there, and then famous people would pop up, and you'd be like, oh, that's somebody, and then I think we had Jason would alarm us, and he'd be like, P.S., that's a porn star, do not retweet that person. Which is very good to know when you're, amassing the big stream, and it's whipping by, you think, oh, that's clever, retweet, and he's like, no, don't. So we got better, and we did them for several weeks in a row. But the honest to God truth, in our businesses, it did affect the number. In cable, it's very different. Ratings scales are very off. As a reference, if an Oprah show gets like a 6 or 7 rating, on cable you get like a 0.45, 0.5, something like that. And those are considered very strong numbers on a startup network. And then you look at re-airs and all this other, it gets very boring very, very fast. But bottom line, wait, I have a slide for that. Bottom line, it was fun and it worked.
And beyond that, I would say a few weeks in, I got a DM from one of my friends at Twitter who said, we're watching what you guys are doing, and it's kind of it's really huge. And, we realized we weren't the first to tweet while people are watching TV. We get that. But when Oprah does it, again, it becomes, it's different. And she got people on Twitter who didn't even know what it was, so, and it sort of brought in this whole new community to Twitter and to this this connection, this new connection that was new for her and her excitement, and then brought in a bunch of other people who now it's new for them. And now there's more people joining our and your communities. So I thought that was really an interesting comment, because we hadn't, again, it was fun and it worked. That's how we roll, you know, and it happens to work, and then it also has all these other implications too for social media, for Oprah's fans and people who weren't Oprah's fans. I mean, it just sort of reverberated out in a lot of ways that we weren't expected, and it was really, really exciting to see.
Well, and you know, we're not clueless. We know that if we work for an influencer with 6.5 million followers, it's a little easier to get some buzz going. But what I think was really cool was, despite the fact that we did it around this show, so Oprah could give added insight about season 25 and talk about the experience and talk about the show, we were getting tweets in from Canada where the show doesn't even air yet and they're on a delay. But just promotionally and just marketing wise and getting the buzz out there and the interest we were able to generate, it just felt like we were on the tip of something that we think we can do a lot more and kind of craft how we do those events, and maybe we do them around other things and how that works. But organically, it's going to come from something that Oprah's excited about, that she wants to get behind. But on smaller scales, like I know your following popped up as soon as from these events. Mm-hmm. Anybody that was participating in the events, our followers just jacked through the roof, because if Oprah would retweet you, even regular people, like if Oprah answered their questions, their followers shot up. And then they were like, oh my gosh, Oprah just retweeted me, or Oprah just answered me, and you'd watch them go up. And then it was wild to watch how it affected other people's streams. And Sherry, who's the executive producer, her following has grown exponentially, from being on the reality show, but then Oprah retweeting her. So it's just an organic, cool little pressure cooker event that was fun. And
I think, though, for a learning for you guys to know, too, because some of you tweet while you're watching your favorite shows, like Glee and Good Wife, and, you know, you have power. You know, when you are tweeting, you're watching and tweeting at the same time, they really, you know, you're helping that show a great deal, whether you're watching it or not. If it's on and you're talking about Glee and I'm missing Glee, oh my God, Glee, hashtag, you know, it is, there is a lot of influence there, and you know, we see it directly.
And the producers of those shows are watching those feeds too. They may not interact with them, but anybody who does what we do is looking at all of that stuff, because everybody just wants feedback on their shows, and the ratings aren't enough. They want to know what people liked and all of that. So it's not falling into a vacuum. It is being looked at. People understand the power of what's going on. So, you know, last year we learned a lot from you guys, and we put it in our own sort of pot and stewed on it for a while, and we kept quoting you all the time. And Andrea's face was the best when she's like, when we asked them and no one raised their hand. It was a little eye-opening. But as you can see, we took in a lot of what we learned and went on our own search for even more information. So we came at this last year really on purpose. We weren't going to just fool around with it. But we're looking at a future that we no longer have the gigantic platform of the Oprah Winfrey Show to build awareness about the stuff we're doing, to get the word out about things we care about, things that Oprah wants to do. So we're a little bit of a quandary and a crossroads in that regard. And the other thing is, how do we continue to create a real dialogue with the audience that has been built and spurned off from the Oprah Show? And maybe, you know, your moms watch it, or you grew up watching it, and now you know, your needs are different. Mm-hmm. How you want to be entertained is different. How you want information is different than that generation. So we got to create a dialogue so we understand what those needs are, so we're ahead and producing content that you're even open to watching. And we want to learn about who that new audience is in the wake of the Oprah Show, and how do we begin to tell those stories in the content that we're producing. So we're going to later do a Q&A, but we also brought, because you're cool and it's a room, and
we like to do this.
Yeah, we brought some sneak peeks for the season 25 episode that airs Sunday, and then something that's a little more long lead, so we'll play a couple of clips here and then do a Q&A. Does that feel cool? And then hang out a little bit. So these are some advanced clips for Sunday night's episode.
You're not fooling me one bit. You got celebrities calling. How are they being positioned? You've got all of that to deal with. I don't want my friends being bothered. So I'm like, do not call Julia. Do not call John Travolta. Do not call Chris Rock. Do not call Sidney Poitier. Leave them alone. And let me remind you that this is what you wanted to do.
That's right.
You wanted to do it. I never for once thought that I needed some big glory-ory celebration.
Well, Oprah's having just a boatload of fun with this surprise business. Not a word will pass my lips. I don't care what kind of pressure I get.
First of all, I know you guys. I know these producers. You can't pull off a big arena like that unless you've got some star power to back it up. You just can't pull it off.
I've never seen this.
Can't fiddle-dee-dee, whereases. I know that. I wasn't born yesterday.
It's fun to see what she was saying behind our backs.
Yeah, so that's in the wake of, Sherry's talking about the United Center shows, and Sherry made the mistake of saying, man, I'm really tired. This is a busy week. Oprah took that moment and took advantage of that. So Sunday night is really, you see behind the scenes of sort of the planning leading up to the United Center shows and what was going on. And here's one more look at that.
I walked through the halls, just me and Sadie. I went, where is everybody? And I don't know anything. But this is the one thing they could not prevent. What do I need to sign
These
now?
are the checks here.
I still sign all the checks over $100,000. Usually I'm signing checks and it says, this is for this, and you have the bill, and you have the whole invoices. No invoices. Yeah, that's a pretty big bill. So when I go, what the hell is going on here? All these checks, what is going on? Oh, that's a surprise show we're having for you. I go, that's some hell of a surprise. Based on the checks I've been signing, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that either.
No,
You had to pay for it? What?
No, we strategically had to cut out the number figures too, because she talks about it. It was pretty funny. So that airs Sunday night on OWN. You'll see that, and there's only like 4 or 5 more original episodes of season 25, so you can really see behind the scenes how Oprah ended the show. And it's fascinating. We've learned a lot from doing the behind the scenes show, because in the beginning we really didn't set out to do a reality show. We weren't fans technically of reality shows, but I think it's been fun for us, because we see it's a different audience that watches the cable show versus watching even the Oprah show. It appeals to a different generation. And then actually coming up to the end, because the final Oprah show taped on May 25th. So in that last week, the producers were still around. Everyone agreed to do sort of a studio special, our version of sort of After the Final Rose or whatever.
Watch What Happens Live.
Watch What Happens Live, exactly.
Totes.
So we did a couple of those, and here's a sneak peek at one that will end at the end of the series. And this is still being worked on back at the ranch, so take a look at this.
Tonight, a season 25 special edition. Oprah, together with her producers, for the very last time.
Aren't we glad we changed our minds about that? Oh, that would have killed us.
Inside the historic Oprah Show finale.
At one point, it got rough in there. Is anybody hearing anything I'm saying?
Moment by moment.
When I first said those words out loud, that is when I had my breakdown.
I don't know if you know this.
No, I did not know that.
This is a special edition of season 25.
So that's going to air sometime in August, and that'll be sort of the end of the run, setting up for the new fall lineup on OWN. So that's sort of the state of our union. And so we thought we'd open it up to some questions. And again, I hope you got the sense that we heard last year, listened to you last year, got some good ideas, and we're looking to continue this on for the long haul. So
we're going to start on this side. You know what? I'm going to go right here to Laura Mays. Hello. I want to say, first of all, when your concept you were talking about producing social media content, I think that's a really interesting concept for a lot of us, because we always talk about producing content, and then really watching the behind the scenes, really learning how TV, well, I feel like I know everything about how TV production works now watching, I'm kidding, but just that glimpse into what you guys do behind the scenes, and then knowing Andrea and being there for that incredible production that you guys put on. I have
two questions off of that. One is, I think it's an interesting concept from our perspective as people who are producing content every day and seeing the similarities, but also seeing the differences, clear differences between sort of the Broadway production, grand scale of what you guys do, and then, but it all in the core coming back down to the story. I'm interested to hear from your perspectives the difference in production, and kind of if you could define for us your definition of what social media production, content production is versus traditional content production. That's my first question. My second question is, please tell me you guys are producing the Oscars next year, because holy cow, that was the best, most incredible stage production.
Dream. I mean, it would be, I die and go to heaven, actually. But I don't know. I haven't heard anything. We don't know. I saw that.
I don't know.
I would say, coming from, to answer your first question, having been on the TV side for so long and just literally dabbling my toe into the social media content production side a little bit from what I've seen, it's a lot less expensive. It is a lot more, I don't know if real is the word, but it's a lot freer. And it's, but again, like you said, story is important and connection is important. So it's the same thought process, like, what am I gonna feel? Like, how do I want you to feel from this? Is this, again, what's your intention? Do I want you to be sad? Do I want you to cry necessarily? Or do I want you to be moved to action? Do I wanna laugh? I mean, that's really important to us too, laughter. So it starts from that, and then it seems to me, and I'm, again, really a baby, newborn embryo in this, seems it's going to be a lot more freer and with a little bit more ease to do that in the social media realm, because it's less slick, less produced. When I say less produced, like less, you know what I mean? It's less, not edited, but like nipped down and scripted. It's kind of how I feel so far, even though I know you do that in your lives. It feels a lot freer to me. It feels like there's more freedoms to that.
Yeah, and I think I think part of it is, since we are still an old traditional production company, I think what we have begun already looking at is it's not just an hour of television that we produce anymore. Mm-hmm. That is the core from where we will always start, because let's be honest, there's money to be made in doing that still. But I think looking at that hour and then saying, what else can we give the viewer? What else can we give those people who are not going to sit down at the time that we told them, but who happen to be online and want to know about that? And just the sheer economics of it are, to what Andrea is saying, is maybe you just let the interview that you captured in the field go, because the audience online might want to just sit there and see what that person is really like in their own words. But versus the television audience that needs things set up and met for commercial breaks, so your acts, begin and end and lead into the next act. But I think it's all the periphery material outside of the hour, because we go out to shoot, you got gobs of stuff, and before it was locked in a vault and forget about it. But now you just look at all that stuff that you get and you go, you know what, that might be great for the Facebook page, or let's tweet about that, because this story should just be told whole. You know what I mean? And we'll edit it down and put it on TV, because we got to maximize, when we go in to do something, all the material that we got and distribute it in those different outlets. So I don't think it's producing for one or the other. I think it's just looking at your material and saying, let's put this here, let's put that there, let's put that in the show, and not be so protective of the hour. There used to be this thought, like, you cannot give anything away. And now it's like, no, put some of that out early, build some buzz, get the people, find out who's interested, and draw them in. Let them tell their friends, let them tell their followers that, oh, this thing is coming. And that's, I think, the only way to really, find out who's like-minded and who wants to watch what you have, so.
Well, and not to abuse a word that's used so much in this space, but authenticity, and I think that's what we all have. We're not TV producers, right? But Oprah shot the same thing that every one of us can from home. I can hop on my treadmill. I don't know if I could run that at a 9. But how funny was that, and engaging and authentic and intriguing, and that didn't take you guys a lot to produce. It was just the raw, authentic stuff, and that's what every single person in this room has the capacity to do, which is very cool. And I'm bouncing to Jill's side of the room for the next
do we have any questions over here? You're looking a little quiet. Do we want to balance back bright?
I had some, here, I'll come back to you. We got Pam right here.
Okay, so with the growth of, how many was it, 200,000 Facebook fans on your Facebook page, how do you monitor that? I mean, when you have that many fans, yeah. No, what if someone starts to post? Not all comments are going to be positive. What if somebody starts posting crap on your website? Do you have a whole team of people that monitor your Facebook page and delete things and block people? And how do you do that? How do you prevent problems?
We have a department that looks at that every day, and we all do. Amazingly though, it sort of self-polices. It really does, and there's such a ginormous frequency of comments that stuff kind of gets pushed down, and it's surprising. It has not been. I wouldn't say it's tough to manage, but we do have people assigned to it, so we know. You have a place to call. You're like, well, what are people saying about X show? It used to be, and keep me honest here, but it used to be go through email. Well, it used to be send in letters, so people would open the letters and read those to Oprah. Then it was like look at the emails, and then it was message boards, and now it's look at the Twitter stream, the Facebook page, the emails, the website. So I would say it's not a huge job, but we do have people assigned to it now.
Well, I guess my question is that I think most women will agree with me that as women, we sometimes become hens in a hen house, and if someone says something negative...
I don't know anything about hen houses.
If someone says something negative on the Facebook page about Oprah or about a guest or about someone who's on the Facebook page, everyone kind of dogpiles them and starts to criticize them or pick them apart. And I'm just wondering if you ever have had any problems like that and how you guys would take care of that.
I don't know. There may have been, and
But you
it's
guys
been
wouldn't
handled, but I can't say that I've had to be a part of anything like that.
No, not that I know.
No, I mean, during the tweet-a-thons, as we would see like the stream go by, we'd see a couple of people say some snarky stuff, and it just, the glory of that event was it moved so quickly. They didn't linger long. There was a higher percentage of people that wanted to engage in a positive way, and those few kind of got pushed down. But you could see them out of the corner of your eye. You know what I mean? A snarky this or a snarky that.
So just basically, you're maybe just ignoring it.
Yeah, I mean, we don't censor it. We really don't. I mean, Oprah's not about that. So it is what it is, but it's primarily positive. That's what we found.
Well, and I think I love the term, whatever you feed grows. So if you go and feed the negative, right, it's going to grow and foster more of that. But if you feed the positive, it grows.
I think Oprah's commented on some of them, though. I feel like she's caught some, and there's a difference between just being mean and constructive feedback, I think. And I've seen her respond to some people on Twitter and Facebook too, where I'm not sure, I didn't get the history of it, but I could see her having a real conversation or having a real response. I've seen that.
Okay, we have a question over here from April.
Okay, so I didn't catch the live video stream when it happened. Where did that go? Where did she publish that? What platform was she putting that on? And then you guys were like, oh, she put something up.
Oh, she does those videos on Twitter.
Okay, and then
And like the workout, like the treadmill.
Yeah.
And then we would slide that over to Facebook, and then I think that's where they lived.
How does she publish it though? Because is it like tweet video?
Oh, I don't know which actual feed she does. She does them on her iPad too, and then shoots it just like we all would up through whatever we use, TwitVid or Twitter.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
He thinks Jason Pollock, the dude here, said TwitVid. Yeah.
Okay, I told you I'd come right back.
Thanks. So you have, Oprah, anything Oprah does when she's on, it's her show, people are going to watch. But now that you have all these different shows on OWN, I'm just wondering what the viewership's like and if you're going to have a different strategy for each of them or if that's up to the person who has the show and just how it's all going to, how you're going to leverage the Oprah, but get that it's different shows.
Well, we've only been at the new company for like a week, so we're figuring that out.
We're figuring that out.
We were hoping you guys would have suggestions because it does get harder when it's not Oprah. And the network is still growing.
I mean, the good news is Rosie is a strong voice. She has her own, and she is a bona fide personality. So there's not much I think we're going to have to do there for her. She's got a lot to say, and she creates a lot of buzz, and she's extremely opinionated about a lot of things. And You know, I think we're in alignment with that. And the other shows, I think
It's hard to say. I think
we're figuring it out literally every day. These
Yeah.
are some of the things that we're thinking about every day.
We have a question over here.
Oh, is that a guy at Evo?
Jed Morley from Mona V.
How has Oprah's brand strategy changed as she goes out to multiple platforms? And how do you keep everybody aligned on that brand strategy with so many moving parts?
I think the crazy thing about Harpo is there's no real strategy. The brand is Oprah, and she's a very dynamic, creative, never stopping force of ideas and what she wants to do. So I don't even think we could sit here and say in 5 years our strategy is to do X. It's really, we serve Oprah and she's doing the network
we
now, and
evolve
we're on
with
that.
her. All her entities evolve with her. So everyone's keeping their eye on her, and we're all very connected to her. Those of us who are in charge of some of those, entities, and we stay as connected with her. And she is a strong voice, so we evolve with her, I would say. That happened on the show. It's happened with every other company. I mean, when I started 18 years ago, it was just the show. Now there's magazines. Now there's all these other companies. And in some amazing way, the brand has maintained the voice of hers, which is ultimately what's important. And, we've all done that. That's sort of been our jobs. And so I would say if she evolves, we're right there with her.
And here's how it's mainly going to change: is she's no longer taping shows 3 days a week, all day. She can actually focus and sort of, from her point of view, look at the network, the magazine, the things that we're doing, the shows that we're creating, and really dial in. And we're looking forward to that because that has not happened. The show literally took, I think, 100% of her time, and then in the extra time she did the magazine, the school, and all her other interests, and it was a lot. But now that, and she's been out saying this, she went to a couple of, I think she spoke to the cable meeting, whatever conference, and that's where her focus now is on all those other things. So that's the biggest seismic shift, and she's coming to Chicago in 2 weeks, so we'll hear even more about the strategy from there.
Big pitch meeting.
Yeah.
All right, I've got one over here.
Hi, John. Hi, Andrea. It's Haya. How are you?
Hi.
Going back just briefly to the question about things that might be negative, I think what's great about Harpo and Oprah and the whole OWN brand is that they take everything very personally. And that's in that the content is personal, the feedback is personal. So following Oprah on Twitter, if you don't already, you'll see that she does engage. And at Rosie is also, like Andrea said, very opinionated and very active on Twitter, and she's brand new on there within the past 2 months. Rosie said something about a show on OWN, the O'Neills. Oprah responded to it. There's definitely engagement on a very personal level, and I would encourage you to follow them if you don't already, because I think it'll give you an idea of the direction of the Oprah Winfrey Network and also of how Oprah is engaging with people in a very, very personal way. Also, if you don't follow these two on Twitter and other Harpo people on Twitter, it really does give you an idea of what the feedback we need to give to you guys is. I think it's very, very important that if you have ideas for content, and you have ideas for how you would want to use OWN, I've experienced people being very open to being interested in those opinions. That's it.
Yeah, no, we mean it when we want a dialogue. We do want to know and connect closer with our audience, and this allows us to do that in a new way. And we don't have it figured out, but we're trying to, and we will make mistakes, and we will overproduce certain things, and we will go down wrong roads, and we will retweet porn stars. But you know what I mean? We're figuring it out. And I think for Andrea and I, it just sort of started as something we liked to do, and then we just started talking about it at the office, and other people, started jumping on. So.
Okay, we've got Helen Jane here with a question, and just so you know, we've got about 10 more minutes. So if you have questions, raise your hands.
Just wanted to know, how did you guys celebrate the end of the show? How did your staff? Did you have a party? Did you go out to eat? What'd you do?
Wow, I bawled. No, it was an emotional week, and I held it together, and I was really but the moment, if you saw the show, the moment where Oprah walks and says goodbye to the staff, I just lost it because, those were real goodbyes for some of us. And that's when it all hit me. And then there was party. There were some parties, I will say. And, everybody celebrated in their own ways. There were definitely formal parties, but I think for some of us, we just needed, to have a timeout. You know what I mean? And it really has just settled in for me, really. I mean, really just this week getting back to work, I'm like, oh, okay, this is new, and it really took a month. We've been off for a month, and we just went back on Tuesday. And it's taken all of that to just sort of reset, to start and create something new. I don't know how you guys do it every day in your own lives, but every day turning it in and churning out all these new ideas. It's like you got to stop and reset, I'm sure. So that's what I just did. And but yeah, we celebrated, we partied, and some of us took our own little timeouts.
I was working on the behind the scenes show because I have to make sure that stays on track. And so when Andrea cried, I made sure they captured it on camera. So I was worried about that. No.
So embarrassing, you guys. So if you saw the Hugh Jackman episode, so embarrassing. I got a mommy hug.
But it was it was a seismic sort of emotional shock to the building, and I don't think a lot of people. I think as much as people thought they were prepared for the end. The control room, everybody afterwards was crying, from Sandy, who runs Prompter for 20 years. That's the thing. Everybody'd been there a long time. Dean, Oprah's stage manager for 21 years. And the camera guys, it's the same camera guys for 12 years. And if you're working in television, that just never happens. The director and his guys, he's crying at his briefing in the morning. It was just we've been in Chicago on our own little island doing this for so long. I don't think a lot of people will really realize it until the fall, because it's always what's the season premiere? That was always the big topic of the year, and I think it's really going to set in then. But Oprah is as you'll see if you watch the behind the scenes show, Oprah was in a very good place with it all. She knew it was her time, and it was the producers who took it pretty hard.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Time marches on.
Yes.
Okay, I think we might just have one more question as far as time goes. And then I realized that when I introduced Andrea, I neglected to mention her shoes. Can you just kick them out a little bit? Woo-hoo! That takes a serious amount of skill, and those are pretty dang hot.
My flats are right there. Thanks, Rachel.
Oh, I got lucky. You were talking about what's to come, and you were referring to having a unified voice for your social media. I was wondering, when you have multiple platforms, how do you achieve that? Because sometimes you have different audiences and you have different streams. So how are you going to manage that? Are you going to centralize it?
No, I think what it is you say the same thing different ways. And I think what we were not doing is understanding that each of these little followings had huge value. I think we were all focused on just what Oprah's feed was. But then, and Jason helped us with this, because it was each of those, we need to know what the big thing is and point people to that. But the same way that we would speak to, say the Oprah store audience is not the same way the magazine would speak to their audience. But we're talking about the same thing. And that worked at the United Center shows, and that worked for the finale. So it's just a matter of talking more, because everybody gets really busy. And you're like, no, we got to do it on purpose now. This is what we want to get our audiences geeked about. So this is what we're going to talk about. And then it came down to even the producer streams and Sherry's streams and all these people. It was just taking one beat to go, here's what we want to make some noise about. But even that will have some organic flow to it, because we're not going to program it and script it, because then I think people will be like, I'm just being played. You're just asking me to do this. So it's a matter of keeping a dialogue with your audience, whether it's a couple thousand people or the big feed, and just staying true to what the message is.
And I looked at the clock, and we can actually sneak one more question in. Does someone have some amazement to lay on everybody? Do you feel it? Maya? Did everybody thought twice? I really laid that on.
Worth asking. Hi, I'm Sarah, and you guys have done such a good job, I think, raising awareness about a whole number of issues for people over the past 25 years. And I'm just wondering how you've learned, or what you've learned from the social media about how you can apply that to doing good for people. I know there's some things that you guys have in the works that you think you could use all those fans for kind of making some changes and doing some things.
We're talking about that now, like how to do that for next chapter. Those are some of the things that we're talking about, because there are things that are important to Oprah, there are things that are important to us, and there are things important to the people she's going to be talking to. So I think organically it will be woven in, but yeah, we're trying, and I think as we've done in the past, we sort of stumble into a format and a way of doing things organically. It'll start some way, but it is important to us, and we are definitely talking about it.
And I think before we go, while we still have everybody, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Maya Watson. Follow her on Twitter. She's part of our team back at the ranch. Peggy Panache, Harriet Seitler, Sherry. A lot of these people, it's not just really us, it was a big concerted effort, and Maya put together a lot of the stats for this presentation today, because she is the one that you call and you'd be like, how many tweets did we do about X, Y, and Z? And she's all over it, so I want to give them all shout outs. So that, and then I got our thanks slide and our own channel finder, which is like, find it, please. And that's Andrea and I there.
And a big shout out and thank you to these guys. And if you're not following them yet, at Hyde Park Mom and at Johnny Sink, there's entertainment there to be sure. This man says boom a whole lot in his Twitter feed.
How can you didn't mention my shoes?
Okay, this man, you guys, he feels discriminated against during this conference.
He didn't get any shoes.
He has a size 15 foot. So if anybody's got some snazzy size 15 shoes that you brought that you were dying to give to somebody, he's waiting.
I'm the guy.
We've seen those in skis, so.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'd also like to thank This Life for sponsoring this session.